There's something really weird going on with Modern Warfare 2. Of the 10, or rather intended 11 maps in the 6v6 rotation, 30% of them are in hot water or were in hot water, with some of them facing permanent removal from the rotation if major changes are not made, which in some cases, I don't know how you'd make major changes to these maps. Today, we're running down what you need to know about the theory removal of a few maps in Modern Warfare 2. As we go along, drop your thoughts down below. What's your take on this? Think they'll entirely be removed? Think the situation will be remedied in a meaningful way to all parties and in a timely manner? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below. If you enjoyed the video though, you find it at all insightful, or if you found the entire situation just as strange as I do me a favor and drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 2. We've still got a lot on deck, but we also have Warzone 2 and DMZ coming up next week, so we'll be gearing up for all of that as well. If you'd like to join us on the road to 600,000 subscribers, wonder if we can hit another lofty goal of 525,000 by launch, but either way, I'd love to have you in the community if you'd like to join us. But for now, let's talk about this weird situation with a decent percentage of the maps within Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer. So to set the stage, do you remember how after COD Next, we knew of the confirmation of a couple of different maps within the multiplayer beta for Modern Warfare 2? One of those was supposed to be the map of Grand Prix, that actually being a map that was previewed at COD Champs a couple of weeks earlier, before COD Next. Then, out of nowhere, it didn't come to the beta, and even more curiously was the fact that any mention of that map Grand Prix was removed from all socials, all websites, any official channel that Call of Duty or Activision owned. It was entirely removed. Apparently that was because it was modeled after and directly named for the F1 circuit, and well, apparently F1 wasn't too fond of that. For a little while, the fate was unknown, but if you played Modern Warfare 2 at all since launch in the 6v6 format, you've probably seen it by now. However, the difference is that it's not called Grand Prix, it's now Crown Raceway, a generic brand name version almost of that, where the map is the same functionally speaking, but in terms of naming, it's not. It's disassociated from anything that it intended to be initially. So while the map aesthetics and such haven't changed, the name seems to be enough to clear it with F1, hence why we have the map in the game at all. Now, as for your thoughts on the map, that's an entirely different story for a different day. Personally, I think it could do well in a 10v10 playlist. I feel like 6v6 plays a little too slow, but as strange of a blunder as that may be for a major game franchise like Call of Duty is, you'd think that if you're making something directly modeled after something like that, you'd want to run it past those in charge of it, right? However, that's not the only time this has happened. In fact, there's not even just one more instance of it in Modern Warfare 2, but 2 more in this game alone. 11 total 6v6 maps that we've seen since the reveal so far, and 3 of them are in massive legal troubles. The other 2? Museum and Hotel. Now, Museum may be under the radar simply because it's potentially that quite literally out of sight, out of mind. Museum hasn't been in the game since, I want to say weekend 1 of the beta. I can't remember if it was in weekend 2 or not, if my memory serves me correctly, but definitely since launch, it has not been in the game. So Museum was another map that again, we played and then it was subsequently removed and has had really no mention of it officially speaking. Now again, while not confirmed, since they're just not touching on it, it's been something that has been reported that the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, California is not a fan of them using their likeness as well to depict a battlefield. So that one, we don't have any real update on what will happen here with that one, but that's why we haven't seen it since launch of Modern Warfare 2. And well, a third one just recently got added to the list, Greenberg Hotel. This one having the potential to be completely removed from here on out due to legal issues with the hotel that it's initially modeled after. This was recently indicated by COD Pros. Check it out.
I think I have a streak.
We should just wait.
We're up, Daddy.
Wait till we're off broadcast.
Yeah, we can talk about this map.
Actually, just play good. I'm not capping.
Up, Daddy.
Too bad we can't play it after the first match. We just try.
Wait, hotel's being removed after Major 1. Chalk it the up.
You were so.
Wait. Why? Is it because of the legal things?
Apparently.
This is a
But
joke,
we
man.
can play it for Major 1? How does that make any sense?
It's probably like they're expecting,
going
yeah,
through, like,
yeah, they're expecting that's probably when it goes through everything, you know what I mean?
So with the CDL, the Call of Duty League, the officially sanctioned league for Call of Duty's pro scene, they got first ups with a lot of stuff. I mean, the pros play the game sometimes months before anybody else does, offering competitive insight into the game and all that kind of stuff. So with preparation for the season ahead, they'd have that information privy to them if anything was going to be removed, if anything wasn't going to be there in a couple of months' time, for them to continue grinding out and learning map strats, rotations, callouts, all that kind of stuff with it. So they'd have that information, and it seemed like it slipped firstly through Dashi from Optic, and then Bance either hearing from the same source officially from a league rep perhaps, or just seeing the coverage of what Dashy said. But the only curiosity to me is that if this does happen, the timing of it all. I mean, after Major 1, it seems pretty weird that we'd have it for 2 months and then just no more. But at the same time, that might indicate that we still have some time left on the map before it's entirely pulled from the map rotation overall. Perhaps the legal aspect of it was pushed off for the sake of, well, we kind of need this map before we can replace it with something else. And maybe that's the agreement that the hotel actually that it's modeled after is coming to with Activision with Call of Duty. So for right now, we still do have it. But that's just kind of crazy to me that out of 11 maps that we've seen since the reveal of Modern Warfare 2, three of them have been in hot water to the point where they're either removed or they have the prospect of being removed. That is something that, going into my overall thoughts here at this, my first thing is, how can a billion-dollar publisher like Activision not get the clearance for these locations? You know that this game is going to do absolute numbers. 800 million in the first weekend of sales, not even going into the first week, 2 weeks, months, not even into the holiday sales just yet. But the first couple of days, you near $1 billion in revenue. You know this is going to be a big deal, so how in the world did we not get the clearance for these sort of locations to model them after? And that comes down to an entirely different sort of, I guess, legal topic of discussion, is public versus private property. Yes, you absolutely could do things like Amsterdam. That level, that is something that's just a cityscape. That is just public property. That is something that anybody can go to, take pictures of, make artwork for. But when you take something that is private property, like the Getty Museum, like this hotel, like a privately owned F1 circuit, when those rights are not in public domain to those locations, listen, I'm no attorney, no lawyer, nothing like that, but that's something that should be considered. No? I mean, maybe I'm just some idiot talking into a microphone about games, but that seems like common sense that you'd want to clear that kind of stuff. And especially when you take it into consideration from the franchise that has recently shifted away from using actual gun names in the sake of not having to deal with the licensing for said weapon names. You'd think that'd kind of click, right? So I'm curious to see what happens with everything here at this, whether or not we get Museum back, whether or not Hotel does make it back into the rotation at any point. But I mean, I think the whole situation with the Grand Prix changing to Crown Raceway, I think that was kind of lucky that they were just like, okay, you can just change the name for that here. Functionally speaking, that map looks to be exactly the same. Obviously, you and I never played that map. Some of the pros and some of the people that played back at Infinity Ward back in June ended up playing it, but functionally speaking, it seems to be the same map. When we have Hotel, when we have Museum, that's something that it might need a little bit more adjusting than just simply changing the name, because the organizations in charge of those locations aren't fond of the depiction and the use of the actual map itself. So you'd have to change it almost entirely, perhaps to an unrecognizable degree, for it to be something that actually can make its way back into it. So the whole thing is just a weird mess of how did we even get here? So for that, that's where I'm going to turn it over to you guys. What do you think is going to happen here? Do you think that we'll see Museum and Hotel just entirely wiped off the face of the earth in regards to Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer offering? Do you think we'll see some changes? Do you think that this will be blown over and both of them will come back just as they are? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, again, maybe you just found it incredibly confusing as I do me a favor and drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare 2. But for now, that's what we're going to call it. Thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.